The World Congress of Chartered Accountants is currently underway in Mumbai. This is kind of the Olympics of the chartered accountants profession. Happens once in 4 years, and the most cutting-edge issues are discussed. We have several important, very important chartered accountants from around the world attending this Congress. One of them is my guest today, Julia Penny, the president of the ICAEW, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. Julia, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
Well, you know, the theme of the Congress says trust and sustainability. Let me start with trust. Recent events in India, and I guess in the world, have put a bit of a question mark on the word trust, because we've had a couple of scams here. It's called the ILNFS scam. You wouldn't know about it. It's a very domestic scam. But in all these, the chartered accountant profession kind of came under the scanner. Either they did not be whistleblowers, or they were probably even, taking a part in the scam. That's the suspicion. So how is the Congress, or how is your profession trying to win back the trust?
I think you raised some really important points. And I think for chartered accountants in England and Wales, we have as part of our strategy to build that trust, to strengthen trust in the profession. And actually, I think it links very closely with the other part of the World Congress theme, which is sustainability. Because one of the things that chartered accountants have a role wherever they are in the world is to be able to drive businesses to think about sustainability, to report on sustainability, to strategically move towards a more sustainable future. And I think that is one way in which we can build trust and restore that picture for the world to be confident.
You know, it's a little difficult because the chartered accountant has to be a whistleblower to the paymaster, bite the hand that feeds. So are there any ground rules your profession will suggest in the Congress?
Yes, I mean, it is always a complex situation, and regulators around the world put in rules to make sure that you are as independent as you can be, given that you are being paid. But one of the core things for us is the training in ethics and integrity that takes place both when chartered accountants are students, but also as they come through as professionals. We have continuing professional education requirements, and we emphasise you have to be ethical. You have to say no if no is the answer. You have to say yes if yes is the answer, from an ethical perspective. And so this is what we strongly emphasise in all our training in order to overcome those natural biases because of the way that the system works.
No, I agree with you. It's not as if ethical questions don't rise in journalism. They do. Well, let me come to the other part of the World Congress theme, sustainability or sustenance. That will involve a lot of non-financial disclosures, isn't it? Is the profession trained?
Yes. Well, the profession is becoming trained, so we're not there yet. We've all seen a very big acceleration in just the last few years in the understanding that we need to act very quickly on climate change and on other issues covered in the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And this is part of the ICAEW strategy. It's part of Chartered Accountants' worldwide strategy. That's the organisation, 1.8 million members. Many of them will be obviously at the Congress. And so it's key for the Congress. So what we're trying to make sure is that we do provide that education. ICAEW has recently launched a sustainability certificate for those that need to increase their education in this area, and the exams around the world and in the UK are including sustainability so that both new and existing members of the profession understand what it's all about. So we're not there because not everybody will have had that education yet, but there's a lot being done.
Oh, yes, these are all cutting-edge questions that are being thrown at us, and the biggest of them come from technology. Yeah. Technology has changed everything, but it has changed finance most. So, are we in for digitized auditing? Our regulators are even pushing for it. Is that happening?
It is happening, and I've seen a big shift. Again, the pandemic did actually accelerate quite a few of the digital developments. Because we were forced to use some of them, people became more comfortable. I was like, yes, oh, actually, I can do this. It is okay. And so, again, that is part of our strategic themes at ICAEW, understanding or mastering technology and data. We are seeing data being put into engines which can say, hang on, this is the transaction which doesn't look quite right. These are the bits that need more investigation. So we are seeing that happen. There is still paper-based right in the smaller sectors of the market, but digital is the future, and the future is partly here now, so yes.
Okay, so do you think the future CFO has to be a part CTO?
Well, yes, and I think to separate digital from the accountancy profession is not the right way to go. Because although we might talk about, as you say, a CTO or a CFO, the reality is both of them will need to understand the other's world. And the accountant has to understand the data, has to understand the ethical side of data. Because just because the computer says, this is so, doesn't actually mean it is so. So we have to apply our ethics and our understanding of mastering that technology and data.
Okay. Now, this is a selfish question. If there is so much of digitization and digitized auditing, do you see a lot of offshoring? I mean, Indians have been clever at this. Yes. So do you see jobs getting offshore, not necessarily only from, England and Wales, but globally, do you see offshoring? So many services have gotten offshored.
Yes, and globally, I think, yes, there is a lot of offshoring. And as you say, if you are accessing something remotely, if you're auditing remotely or doing other accounting work, it doesn't matter where you are. And so the benefit of offshoring and having centres of excellence in particular countries can be really, really powerful. So, a lot of UK companies will offshore, a lot of US and, from around the world. And this is something that we've seen for a number of years now. It is still something which I suspect will grow or at least maintain in terms of providing that service around the world and being able to concentrate on those specialisms. And I think, when we're using offshoring, what we need to make sure is we don't lose sight of those fundamental strategic issues, the sustainability, the technology, and how it contributes to sustainable economies around the world.
Well, of course, you can't let those standards fall. But, as a country which is heading with the best demographics for this decade, we are out to look for these offshoring questions.
Of course.
Okay, now for the most important question for our viewers, you're handling what your members would be looking at, some 200,000 members you have, and they would be looking at probably 20, 30 companies each. You would have a very good idea of how do you see the economy progressing. Britain in particular has gone through difficult times, but the whole world is probably going to get into recessionary trends. When is the light at the end of the tunnel? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Anything you can tell us about what your profession thinks about the economy?
I mean, I think we do sort of business confidence monitor studies, and I think, as you say, we are very much expecting some hard times ahead. How long it takes to get out of the hard times depends on so many factors. And of course, the geopolitical situation, the war that we've got in Ukraine, particularly from the European impact, but of course that has global ripples because we are global economies. So, we are hopeful that maybe it's just, a couple of years or so. But I think we are also worried that it could be a longer recessionary period. And a lot of it will depend on how well we react to it. Yes. So chartered accountants drive businesses forward. And what we mustn't lose sight of in these recessionary times is that sustainability agenda. Because it's no good coming out of a recession if the planetary condition is such that it's not sustainable. Then we've got a recession forever because we've made the planet unsustainable. So I think it's really concentrating still on our core values and that sustainability journey in order to limit the impact as much as we can of the recessionary trends that we are inevitably seeing at the moment.
You leave me with the confidence that the accountancy profession is not out to just win the battle and lose the war, but you have your eyes trained on the larger purpose of sustainability. Yes. What is a little disheartening is that you expect the recessionary trends to last a little longer.
It is, and I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that we come out of it much quicker. And different economies will come out more quickly than others, I'm sure. Fingers crossed, it will be a rosy future, quickly, not slowly.
Thank you very much, Julia Penny, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.